In foster care, I cheated death numerous times. I was completely debilitated from the trauma that haunted me every day, and I just wanted to die. It seemed like no matter how much I cried or how much I tried, the memories wouldn't stop attacking me. My life felt like a never-ending cycle of instability, and no matter where I went or what I did, nothing was permanent. Not safety, not comfort, not people. I entered foster care at 14 years old, and after bouncing around numerous foster care placements, my first survival instinct was to create a pact within myself and say that I will never get connected with anyone, because that was the best way to protect myself. And as a ward of the state, every waking day in my foster care journey, I've contemplated suicide time and time again. And even now as an adult, because I can't shake off the feeling that I'm still in foster care. I'm only alive today because of one phenomenon that saved my life. And without realizing what this critical life-saving thing is, it is already something that we have the power to give to others. This phenomenon is called relational permanency. Relational permanency saved my life, and it has the power to already save the lives of those around you. And I'm truly thankful to be alive today to tell you how. My life changed drastically when my perpetrator committed suicide after finding out that what he did to me was reported. As a kid in the foster care system, it felt like justice was never served. Following that was the death of my father, my birth father, who passed away abruptly to cancer. And his death solidified the belief in my heart that, yeah, I'm gonna be alone forever. As a former ward in the state, I want you to hear me out. While things like getting adopted and returning home is important for children in foster care, not all children in foster care, like I was, have the ability to go home or to get adopted. Now, imagine what it's like in your life if you had no one to talk to, no one to lean to, and no one to turn to. Well, that is exactly what it's like for the life of a kid living in the foster care system. Relational permanency means building consistent, continuous connections with youth in the foster care system and a trusting adult, whether that is a caregiver, a mentor, or a guardian. Relational permanency is the suicide hotline for kids in foster care. My journey in foster care required a call to the suicide hotline many a times. And as a matter of fact, my foster parents saved me time and time again. And they didn't come to me rushing towards me in your typical first responder uniforms. Oh no, they came to me with funky patterned shirts, khaki shorts, and dollar store sunglasses. But despite their relaxed look, I found in them the support that was just as important, if not more, than any lifesaver uniform, because they were not just my one-time crisis support, they were my lifelong resuscitators. Permanency was brought to me when I needed it the most. Living with them wasn't easy, because while I lived with them, that was when my birth father passed away, and on his dying bed, he looked at my foster parents with, at the time, seemed like an unfair request to strangers. Take care of my Whitney. Till this day, they honored my father's dying wish. And at the same time, while living with them, I was reunited with my birth mother. And then after looking at me for the first time in a long time since she left me, she left again. I remember after these series of events, I would go to bed crying, not knowing what to do, but my foster mother would come in and stroke my hair until I fell asleep. My foster dad was also the first man in my life who didn't hurt me. He created really safe boundaries for me, and with his open arm gestures, I too slowly lowered my walls and began giving him hugs. I remember going to a lot of therapy when I was in their home, And after working long nights in Washington, D.C., they would come and pick me up from after-school tutoring, and they would drive me to my therapist's office, and they would sit outside until I was good and ready to leave. Every day and night, good or bad, they took the residual effects of the brunt that would hit them from my healing process. Relational permanency comes in many forms. For example, one of the most comforting things that I found was that in relational permanency, it can even be provided without a home. Like Perry Garson, who was my guardian ad litem in foster care. And through his presence in and out of the courtrooms, Perry advocated for me. He was my attorney in foster care, and he fought a good fight for me. I had one social worker in particular, and she had it out for me. And she used to give away my clothes that my dad would bring to me during visits, and she would even leave me stranded in court. But that was the last straw for Perry Garson. And on an average day in the courtroom, when I knew I was going to get grilled out for no reason at all, for whatever I've done wrong under the sun that could be possibly found, in came Perry's court filings asking the judge that she be released from my case. And just like that, for the first time in my life, somebody who was not good for me was removed from my life. And as a kid in foster care, I didn't know what else to do. As she walked out the courtroom with a sorry look on her face, all I did was I stuck my tongue out and said, "Take that," you know? Relational permanency, like I said, comes in many forms. Esther Sherrard was my final foster home. And as a kid aging out of the foster care system at 18 years old, I was grandfathered into an independent living program where a certified foster parent would teach me how to live independently. My life required a lot of creative measures to make sure that I was able to live as normal of a life as possible. But even then, I tested her. I tested her patience by ignoring all of her housekeeping rules. I tested her empathy by looking at her every single day and saying, "You will not understand what I'm going through." I even tested her conviction to her faith by wearing whatever I wanted, however I wanted, and went in and out of her home whenever I pleased. How far can I push you? Because someone like you surely cannot love someone like me forever. One day, Esther received a phone call that tested her permanency in my life. Whitney is at the Inova Hospital in Arlington. On my way to a fundraiser, I got into a traumatic car accident that left me from a car that was crumbled beyond recognition, and it left me with 4 surgical rods in my back from a severed spine, a traumatic brain injury, and an unforgettable feeling of knowing what it's like to have your left fibula snap. I was wheelchair-bound during my recovery process, and I was filled with nothing but rage. But Esther was there every day, helping me. She helped me give me my medication. She helped feed me. She was there when I couldn't even I didn't even have the strength to pick up a bowl by myself, to feed myself, and she even helped me with daily bathroom reliefs. And just as I felt that I would be alone, no, she was there every day until she started seeing me getting out of bed by myself, feeding myself, and then even walking by myself. Esther was there every step of the way working with my foster parents. They were the family unit built just for me. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services have discovered that having a lack of relational permanency or a lack of access thereof creates a higher risk of suicide and mental health issues for kids aging out of foster care. But they've even found that having access to something like relational permanency can be life-saving for kids in foster care. The U.S. Administration for Children and Families have also shared that those who've experienced past trauma in their lives also struggle with the ability to nurture new relationships. Relational permanency has the ability to give young people and children in foster care the things that they need to thrive emotionally and psychologically to keep them alive. Something that cannot be replaced by monetary support or monetary possessions. One final day in my foster care journey placed permanency in my foster parents and Esther's place in my life forever. On September 15th, 2014, this time they got a phone call from me saying, "He's here," surrounding around the most permanent person in my life. My son was then introduced to his forever auntie and grandparents. 17 years later, there have been more there's been so many memories, laughter, joy, and celebrations and visits, more than I can ever count. And the other day, I even called Perry and said, hey, I'm going to be on a TEDx. My story is not unique. There are so many young people in foster care who have gone through what I have gone through, and if not worse. But it is important to know that no matter what we go through, no matter what our circumstances are, we all deserve a chance at a good supportive system, people who won't give up on us no matter what. We all deserve that. So I ask you all today to please consider giving the gift of relational permanency to a child in foster care. Because, hey, even in khaki shorts and dollar store sunglasses, you can be a lifesaver too. Thank you.